So after watching this film, I feel like I want to hug you.
Oh.
This is one of the most heartwarming films I've seen in a long time. So my first question is, were you expecting all the success the film is having from everyone? Critics, experts, festivals, audiences?
Oh my gosh. I learned as an actress to almost never have expectations. Things you think are good, people will hate. Things you hate, people will think is good. So it's actually been a pretty freeing experience being an actress where you kind of like realize that, you have no control over what happens. But for me, I knew that this movie was so special because I read it and I felt like it was so special. And then when we shot it, the whole crew and cast were thought it was so special. So I was like, okay, maybe there's like something to this. And then once it came out South by, it really resonated with audiences. It's all I could have ever hoped for. But I again don't really have any expectations for literally anything because just to as an actress and in the film industry, you kind of have to build this tough skin, and it's always so wonderful when what you hoped for actually happens and people really connect with it. So it's a dream come true.
Okay, thank you for that. So let's talk a little bit about Lily's journey because it is deeply emotional and personal. She had to deal with loneliness, rejection, borderline depression. So how did you prepare to portray a character dealing with such complex emotions?
It's a great question. It was really a tough character to crack. I spent
Mhm.
months before the movie talking to Tracy about this character, really building little things that, for me and maybe audiences will pick up, but for me the best part about building characters are like little things that you do for yourself that just makes you feel embodied in it. I pierced my ear and I cut my bangs. I like was in Kentucky, so to me, it was just really about building this character that was fully thought out, and also, God, what a difficult thing to do, which is like be so vulnerable every all day. But what made it really, 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 really easy was that Tracy is a director that who wrote and directed and
Mhm.
produced this film. She's really a director who's so good at working with actors and really like knows how to let us do our thing, but also guide us in the right direction. It was amazing. I think she really made it pretty as easy as it can be to navigate those emotions.
So talking about Tracy, she has mentioned, and the film is loosely based on her real life experiences. So how did knowing this help you or influence your portrayal of Lily? I want to know a little bit about your conversations with her about what really happened.
Yeah, well, I knew that when I first read the script, I had no idea, I had no context that it was loosely based off a story. And then once
Mhm.
getting to know Tracy and hearing this gorgeous, beautiful, just one heartwarming story, it like
Yeah.
really gets you in there. So it made us really, me, the cast, the crew, it made us really want to step up for her because we wanted her story to be told correctly. And so for me, it was just about just being present and making sure that we were making Tracy proud. She didn't want me to like play a character that was exactly like her, which was really, interesting, cool. Like she wanted me to like create a completely different character. We did that. And so it also always grounded it in a lot of truth. Like even if like when you're acting out a story that is completely made up, you're like, why would this character do this? Why is this happening? Yada yada. You kind of have to, but those motivations were always so clear. They were always there because it was the truth. It was the truth of what Tracy did, and I know Tracy, and I can like talk to her, and I understand where she's coming from. So it was easy to kind of ground it in truth because it is truthful.
That gives great context to what we watch on screen. So you've worked with some incredible actors in this film. So how did collaborating with John with French enhance your performance? And tell me a little bit about some maybe some funny anecdotes that happened on set, considering that they're very good not only in drama but also in comedy.
Yeah. It was funny is that, like, within this movie, I never really grew up with father figures, and it felt like they
Okay.
became father figures for me in the film because, I had to do all these scenes, and I was the one who's in every scene, and it was a big undertaking, and they were so supportive of me and just so kind and so sweet, and it felt really, just like a family, it felt like it was like this fatherly love coming from both French and John. A funny anecdote would probably be when I don't even know if John knows this, but sometimes he would take a nap, like he would like start sleeping in like the diner or something, and I would just like take sneak pictures of him. And I don't think he knows that. But it's like pictures of him going like sleeping, sitting up. But that was just my little silly thing. Maybe I'll make a little book of it for.
Another thing that I love about the film is how of a wonderful you're like the most convincing crier on scene ever.
Thank
Tell
you.
tell me a little bit about how easy was for you or is for you to make those tears flow, because believe me, it was so important to put context into the character, specifically that first scene that like grabbed the audience.
I think for me, it's always tough when scenes are very emotional and you're kind
Mhm.
of have this like daunting task to like cry on cue. So I try not to ever think of it that way. And I think what was really cool about this movie is that those tears were so real. I felt like it came from such a love and respect for the character to the point where I would feel every little thing of hers. Like is a very strange character actor melding kind of thing that happened when I was in Kentucky. So it was just really it was really cool. I don't know. It just felt like crying is always like the hardest thing to do when you have that in your head where you're like, okay, I have to be emotional. Like, is my body gonna let me? And for this movie, for some reason, it was just like very easy. Like it was because of how connected I was with the character. And I just let my body do what it's gotta do. And that's what came out in the movie. It wasn't anything forced, it wasn't a plan, it wasn't, rehearsed before. It's just what like naturally came to me because I felt so moved by it.
Thank you for that. One last question, and let's play for a second here about let's talk about the character's growth. If you could spend a day with Lily after the events of the film, what do you think she'd be doing?
Oh god, if I spent the day with her, I would bring her to a spa. We get a nice little massage. We go to like a little girls' brunch, and we had to do a little talking.
Don't forget Daphne. Daphne was her name. Yeah,
Yeah, Daphne. Oh, I
right.
love her.
Don't forget
Daphne's already
Daphne.
at the spa. Daphne knows what's up. Me and Daphne
Okay.
are friends. Yeah.
So my time's up. Barbie, thank you so much for giving one of the best performances of the year in one of my favorite films of this year so far. So again, gracias from Puerto Rico, and hope this film has more success that is having as we speak. So
Thank you.
thank you
Gracias.
again.